on the Bobby Bones Show now.
Poppy Harlow.
Poppy, how are you?
Hey, Bobby, I'm great. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with us. And I want to start with talking about the kids' book, which we're promoting right now, called The Biggest Little Boy.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, tell me first, why write a kids' book?
Well, I thought I'd start with the kids' book. We'll see what comes after. No, here it is, The Biggest Little Boy, A Christmas Story. Thank you for having me. What a joy. Your story is amazing, by the way. So I hope we can turn the table one day and have you on our show on CNN. Look, this story happened. Luca, my little son, who's 3.5 now, when he was a baby, almost pulled over this huge Christmas tree in a Christmas tree market in Brooklyn where we live. And when the ensuing chaos ended, I thought that's a great kids book to teach kids there's joy in little things. We don't need all this big stuff. And so I put pen to paper and an amazing team made it happen. But it's been like 2.5 years in the making.
So it sounds like it's a Christmas book, but there's a bigger message than
totally
about a tree. What is this overarching message here that you think kids will get from it?
The message that I hope they get is I'm from Minnesota. You're from Appalachia, right?
I'm from Arkansas, so
not ish, right? Yeah. And so I'm trying to raise kids in New York City and teach them that they don't need all this big stuff, and try to bring some of what I grew up with in Minnesota to New York City. So that's the lesson: is there's joy in little things, and we don't need all of these big things.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up, because you know how you grew up and where you grew up to now. I would think that as you were getting having more success in your career, you were like, man, if I can just get this anchor job and make more money, I would just be happier. If I could just move to New York City. And then you get there, and I've experienced some of my life too, because I grew up extremely poor and going, man, if I could just, but you know, the more you get, it isn't actually the happier you are. And it's taken me this long to learn that.
Yeah. Oh, you nailed it. You nailed it. Even though I totally screwed up on where you're from, I've read a lot about you, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but you lost your mom at 49. Is that right?
Yeah, she was in her 40s when she died. That's correct.
And my dad was 49 when he died. And that's the reason I bring this up, is because that's what it taught me. Life is so short. And when he died, no one talked about he was a lawyer, the cases that he won, or, money that he made. They talked about the effect he had on them and the person he was, right? And so with such a short life possible for so many of us, and life being so precious, I wanted to send the message that, like, the joy is not in the stuff, the joy is in the being.
You know, with this book, how close the illustration, does it look like your son?
No, so this is, for people who can see us, this is illustrated by the remarkable Ramona Kowalitsky. I'm not like, she made this book sing. She blew me away. She made the story come off the pages and come alive. This does not look like Luca. Luca has blonde hair. Our family in this book is a mixed race family. And I wanted, it looks like our block in Brooklyn. It looks like my kid's school. I wanted more children to see themselves in this book and to think that could be me, that could be my family.
Does he think it's cool that his name, how old is Luca now?
No. Okay. Luca does not think the book is cool. Luca is 3.5. And when I tried to read it to him, he said, I want the dinosaur book. Sienna, my 5.5-year-old, is furious that the book's not about her. So note to parents, do not write a book just about one of your children. And they have zero interest in small Christmas trees and want an enormous one. So on the parenting front, I have failed.
Did you make a promise to Sienna that if you did another kid's book, she would be involved?
There is a book coming out about Sienna, so she can hold her breath for a few years and it'll be there.
You know, with your job as being a really respected journalist, news anchor, depending on what you're doing, you have interviewed a lot of CEOs. What are billionaires like in person?
Different. They're all different from one another. Okay. So I have met some of the most humble billionaires in the world, like Warren Buffett, who it's been one of the great privileges of my career to be able to interview him over the last decade multiple times. And then I've met not so humble billionaires. What I will say is that money is not what defines them. it's their humanity, right? And like I can tell within an instant when I sit down with one how they're going to be and what interest do they take in the people around them and not just in their own success. But I'll tell you, like, I mean, I interviewed Warren Buffett first when I was like in my 20s. I had just started here at CNN and I was terrified. And I walked up to him at a conference and I said, I'm Poppy. You have no idea who I am, but can I get 5 minutes with you? And it was in the middle of the financial crisis. And he said, yes. So I, him saying yes and the not being scared to just ask has really driven a lot of my career. Because what's the worst thing that can happen? They can say no. All right, next, move on.
Have you interviewed Zuckerberg?
I have interviewed Mark Zuckerberg, not recently. I've been trying to interview him, obviously, recently, but they're not really doing any interviews right now. But that's an important interview. I hope he sits down with me or someone soon and answers some important questions.
Can you confirm he is a real human?
He is. I interviewed him in his house.
So he has a home. Okay, I'm starting to believe he could be a real human being. Wow.
He is.
Is it true? And I saw this, so forgive me if this question is inappropriate or gross. That you had to wear a diaper when you interviewed.
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad. I didn't even, because when I saw this, I was like, I don't even know if I want to ask this, but I have. Okay. Let me finish this. Is it true you had to wear a diaper to interview Ruth Bader Ginsburg because it was days after giving birth?
This is true. I had Luca in February of 2018, and my college had secured this interview with this late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and asked me to do it. And I said, I cannot do it. I'll be having a baby a few days before that, I think. And they said, are you really saying no to a sitting Supreme Court justice? And I said, I guess I am. And my husband said, what are you doing? What am I, chopped liver? I can't take care of the baby for a few hours while you go do this interview uptown in New York. And I said, you're right. So I have my husband to thank for making me realize it's possible to do. And yes, women, if you're watching and listening, you know what it's like after you have a baby, okay? So yes, I was wearing basically an adult diaper and a like size large rented skirt that would fit because you still look like half pregnant. And I got to interview the remarkable RBG. And Bobby, I am so, obviously she's passed, and I'm so glad that I finally said yes. I'm so glad I have a husband who encouraged me to say yes. And now I'm in law school. So that's what you get for that.
I'll ask about that too, because you've taken a break from the desk and you've gone back to school.
Yeah.
And more so than I wonder about your ambition or drive, because I know that's there. My mind goes to, do people take pictures of you on campus with their
No.
They don't.
No, they don't. I'm in the middle of studying for finals. I kid you not. This is my preparation guide for my final exam Wednesday. And here is my one of many way too heavy law books. They do not take pictures of me. The students treat me like they treat everyone else. They're amazing. They're like so sweet. They invite me to their Zoom study groups. I have one later tomorrow. But yeah, I went to look, RBG helped inspire this in me. I'm doing a 1-year program for journalists at Yale Law School. I wanted to learn more like deeply about the Constitution and the laws that govern our country, especially given the last few years. So as the daughter of a lawyer, I thought, okay, let's try this.
What is it like to your team when they go and you go, hey, I'm going to go back to school? Are they completely supportive? Or are they like, what?
Beyond. So the head of CNN, Jeff Zucker, is an amazing, not only boss, but human. He didn't even blink. He said, you have to go. You have to go. You have to go. I will make it possible. I said, how are you going to make it possible? I have to anchor, our show with Jim, my buddy, 5 days a week. I can't do that and get, go up to New Haven for class. He said, we'll make it work. And he made it work. So I'm anchoring every holiday. Every day I don't have class, I'm basically anchoring. And then I'll be back full time in the anchor desk when I graduate in May.
Well, I do watch you and Jim Acosta. Jim Acosta. I watch you guys basically every day.
Jim Sciutto.
Yeah, whatever. He talks like this. I'm Jim Sciutto. Yeah.
Jim's so great. I miss him. I miss my daily job, but we'll be back soon.
He also, it looks like he has some product in his hair that holds up extremely well.
Jim has like the best hair. Like, I think there's like viewer voting surveys on him having the best hair at CNN. So I would have to agree.
let me say to our listeners, if you're looking for a kid's book, also a Christmas book that covers them both, The Biggest Little Boy. And I'm assuming that people can get this on Amazon or bookstore. Where can they get it?
Yes, everywhere. Your independent bookstore, go support your independent bookstore in your neighborhood. They should have it. If they don't, please ask them to order it. Amazon has it, our website, my social media has the link. It was a fun project and a lot of fun. Thank you for having me, Bobby.
This is the first I've heard that Amazon's not an independent bookstore, because I've been led astray then.
Have you?
Yes. Have you met Bezos?
I have met Jeff Bezos. I have been at a dinner, a CEO dinner, a lot of billionaires at the dinner where he was. And I tried to get an interview with him. We did a whole, my colleague Jessica Small and I did a whole documentary on Amazon and tried to get an interview with him for it. We didn't, but I interviewed Andy Jassy for it, and he's the new CEO of Amazon, who was a great and fascinating interview. So maybe I'll go to space. Maybe
yeah, does he go to space? That's who I want. I want the space people. Okay, Poppy Harlow, thank you. You guys check out The Biggest Little Boy. It's a story inspired by her own son and has a message that hopefully will inspire you and your kids the same. Poppy, it's been a real treat. Thank you, and hopefully I will see you soon.
See you soon.
This is a Bobby Bones Show.
Hey.